paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. My pick of the week. Oh, sorry. I was just doing the thing like getting ahead, leaking the end game here.
We were so close to having a 10-second episode.
Yeah, well,
I'm
sorry. I was leaking the end game, just like what happened with Wilds of Eldraine. We know everything about it, and there's not been anything previewed. Pretty fun.
Finn.
Well, welcome into Brainstorm Brewery, everybody. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined as always by DJ and Cass. We are here to talk to you about Wilds of Eldraine, which we're learning a lot about what's happening in the new modern with Preordain, and also some other funny combos we'll get to. But welcome in to the show. How are you doing, DJ and Cass?
I'm living
Cass
life.
and DJ.
Yeah, it's extremely hot where I am, so I'm fully nude off camera right now. And, tantalize your imaginations there, listeners.
I didn't know that wasn't the norm.
We're this dedicated to pre-record your entire bit and then have you voice act over it, like just with your mouth.
Yeah.
And then we just overlay that with a deep fake or two, and then.
Did you say with a deep
footage.
fake or two?
Yeah.
You just deep fake once or twice, and it's fine.
Yeah, speaking of AI, I was editing an article yesterday, and one of the options was to highlight text and use AI to lengthen it, simplify it, or shorten it. And I hated it. I hated that it was just there in the editor.
Did it work?
Yeah, to an extent, it was fine, yeah. But like, it didn't really... It was already just like a paragraph that was somewhat straightforward. I know, like, it didn't go deep with it because it made me mad, you know? Or sad. Like, either way, I felt ad about it. So I wasn't into it.
Speaking of ads, we should talk about our sponsors.
Coalesce and MTG stocks. Shout out to them both. We'll get into that in a little bit. By the way, did you all hear that the Pallet Thieves at Gen Con were caught?
They wore a t-shirt of a different card game they made. That's how they got caught. It did not look like a good game, but it was a game they sure made.
And all
That's one step away from just being an animated cartoon with like a trail of money flying out the back of your sack that has a big dollar sign on it. Like,
and the thing is, they never had any shot regardless, because they just walked around with, like, one of them has like a very distinctive like haircut, and they like walked around with no hats on. Like, I get that they didn't want to wear like a mask or whatever to try to, be suspicious, but they didn't even put on a hat. Like,
this is like the one time in human history that it's cool to wear masks in public and like be suspicious. It's like the one time you're allowed to do that. Yeah. And they're still not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. The audacity. I don't know. I don't know what I would love to hear their story. If they're out there in between, they're like, if they want to call in from jail, I'll interview them. I'm just saying, I want to know what motivated them to commit the dumbest heist in
I'll hop on a
Tiger
King documentary. Why not? Yeah, let's do a whole thing on them. Let's make this a Netflix series.
I mean, it's almost certainly just like opportunism, right? Like, they were just there, they saw it, and they were like, we could just do this, right?
But they had a pallet thing, right?
I mean, I'm sure there were just pallet jacks sitting around.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or it was already on the pallet jack. Like, it might have just been that level of opportunistic.
They just popped into the like loading dock and stepped out for a smoke, realized that it was right in front of them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all fairly plausible.
I mean, if there was a pallet jack in front of me and a pallet of my favorite thing on earth, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, YOLO.
What's the worst that could happen? They could see my t-shirt that says, here's my home address, my registered business is. Like, they're not going to look for that.
And it's one of those Facebook ad t-shirts that says, like, I'm a forklift driver born in May, wife
Put a
of
QR code. Put a QR code on there.
QR code to my LinkedIn.
Links to your artisanal pickle shop. Like,
My Twitter
Do you have
profile
some
picture
artisanal
should be a
pickles?
QR code. I'm doing it all wrong. Your Twitter profile picture should be a QR code to your link tree. I don't know, that's one of those like, shower / bong rip thoughts, I guess. But I'm just brainstorming.
Are you a shower bong kind of guy, Corbin? Do you ever
shower bong kind of guy?
You ever take a fat rip in the shower? I know a lot of people like shower beers, but
no, I have not. That doesn't seem like a thing.
That's quitter talk.
wait,
I guess
I want to quiz Corbin on his shower habits. Have you ever eaten an orange with your bare hands in the shower?
No, I don't like
Why not?
oranges.
Why not?
I don't like oranges.
I have a photograph that I received recently from my spouse of them eating a McDonald's cheeseburger in the shower, claiming that the buns are waterproof, so it's okay.
Holy shit, that's probably true.
There are 4 images of this, and then someone drew art of it, and I have this on my phone.
Do you think that it just like repels the water like that one kind of fabric?
I mean, no. So if you actually take a McDonald's hamburger bun, you like drop water on it, it won't penetrate into it from the top.
Okay.
It's got
I
a
like
rain
that
shield.
gloss.
I ate McDonald's yesterday.
Nothing wrong with a little McDonald's. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before. Are we at the 10-minute mark? Are we gonna get demonetized? When I was I think I was like maybe 5-6 years ago, my whole thing would be I would finish work for the day. I work from home. I would jerk off. I'd go get 2 McDoubles. I would eat the McDoubles. I'd come back home and I would watch Super Mario Maker until I fell asleep. I did that like 4 nights a week.
Worse
That's
ways
just
to
what that's
Super
what we want to
Mario
return to, right? Like that's some return to the mines, or like it's just the human condition has always been towards that pinnacle, and then we reached over it and are going downward, but we need to return to that point on the pyramid.
Yeah, I'm the one who's going esoteric with it for sure. Y'all want to talk about magic? Do our listeners want to hear us talk about magic?
No.
Wilds of Eldraine was previewed / revealed / spoiled. Wizards sent out an email to the WPN network stores that, if I recall what it said correctly, was essentially, we accidentally send out a bunch of product early. Hey, please don't reveal it.
Please no spoils, please.
So it was spoiled very quickly. So we have a policy on this podcast. Like, we're not, if things are out there, they're out there. That said, we're going to have plenty of Eldraine to talk about moving forward. We don't need to, dig into card by cards here. But I'll say this. There are actual fairies in this set.
We knew that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Now, we've seen one, Sleep Curse Fairy, and it's good.
We saw one. We knew that before. We had the pick a number 1 to 10 one from the week before.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, so this is a dump of seeing what we're going to get out of the set. The big mechanic seems to be bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell, and then they are essentially kicked, if you will.
You get a little kicker effect on there, yeah.
Or if you won't, I don't know if we count that one as kicker, but it's named bargain.
No, I've always said that none of these mechanics are kicker.
It's true. DJ's always been a big advocate for each mechanic in Magic being very granular and unique, and the gameplay really matters a lot.
It does, yeah. I mean, flying is very distinct from trample. They're completely different. I actually wrote my dissertation on how exploit is vastly different than megamorph.
It's true. Actually, I'm a graduate student at DJ's University of different mechanics.
We call it
Wow.
U of Diffmech for short. It's kind of like a hipstery name. It's like U of Diffmech.
U of Diffmech. It's actually a real big art school too. We actually talk a lot about. There's a lot of smoking bongs in the shower on the quad.
It sounds like on the quad.
A lot of opportunities to be a nude model, like a lot of flyers.
It's true.
But are you told if your spouse wants or partner wants to model nude and you don't want him to?
Corbin, would you rather me answer that question, or would you rather me pull up your application on my phone?
Corbin was denied from U of Diffmech for not having any swagger and also being kind of a fuddy-duddy.
It was going around the internet the other day. Anyways, back to from that university over to the wild plain of Eldraine here. The big extra printing cycle this time around is called Enchanted Tales. You've got some Disney looking art of fairy tale type things, but these are cards that are not in the main set, but are in fact quite expensive. Doubling Season.
These are the Mystical Archives.
Yeah, Doubling Season, Prismatic Omen, Aggravated Assault, Necropotence, Rhystic Study, Greater Oromancy, Smothering Tithe, and just because you need a dud,
you mean
Curiosity.
I don't mean to correct you as your professor, past and future, but don't you mean Necropotence?
Nope, I don't. Necropotence is what I mean.
Curiosity's not that big of a dud. People like that card.
Sure, and it's a combo in EDH if it's like a year in the past, but I've died to that combo. It happens.
Just because a card isn't worth money doesn't mean it's a dud. Someone's going to open a Curiosity and they're going to be like, wow, this is really good in my Niv Mizzet deck. And then they're going to learn a lot about the year 2013.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they're going to learn that they could have opened a card worth about $50 more. But hey, that's how it goes. Do you all think that they are? I didn't see. Are there serialized cards for this?
Not announced yet, I don't believe.
It would be cool if there weren't, in my opinion.
I think it's very low odds that we get a bonus sheet without serialized cards. Like, I know people are burned out on like high-end things, but the people who aren't burned out on it really like it. And like, serialized Rhystic Studies do sell booster packs.
Yeah, that's probably true. I bought one of those Merfolk serialized things from Gen Con because they're cool.
Yeah. A sucker is born every day.
I know, but it's still cool.
It's true.
It
sparks joy. It can't be. Yeah.
Also, adventures are back as you would expect in Wilds of Eldraine. You're right. You're probably right about the serialized Rhystic Studies and Doubling Seasons and Smothering Tithes. The lands are also cool. There's a more full art lands. There's a
New
cycle of creature lands. Yeah.
Full art.
Which I'm pretty excited for.
I want to break some hearts right now. As the person wearing the Coalesce Jason Vraska complete Valentine's Day shirt that is very comfortable and fits me nice and cozy. I'm going to break some hearts and remind everybody full art lands are worth nothing.
Yes, that's good to say, DJ.
Are true bulk, and you should treat them as such. You can stop picking them out of your bulk, with some very few exceptions, like the Theros ones or the Unstable. But
the Dominaria United ones are good too.
Yeah,
there are certain sets where they maintain a semblance of value, but by and large, your average everyday full art land printing is worth around 10 to 15 cents, and nobody buys it at a bulk. Card Kingdom has not bought full art lands for months now. You cannot send bulk full art lands to Card Kingdom. That is not
every once in a while they'll like put a specific like island on their buy list for a quarter, and you're just like, take them all, and that's the best you do nowadays.
Yes.
I just experienced this with Dominaria United full art lands, and Card Kingdom was buying one of the 5 for full art lands from Dominaria United, which are really cool.
This is something that we predicted. Many years ago, we waved the warning flag of, if they continue to print full art lands and special variants of basics, it dilutes among the player base so much that the player base as it exists now, unless it explodes exponentially, cannot just handle like all of these variant basic. Like you have so many options to choose from that it just becomes much more difficult to sell somebody on, these Euro lands from 20 years ago, or these Dominaria, or the Theros, or the Phyrexia, and it's just.
I think that is part of WotC's vision, though, is that full art lands aren't about selling the set anymore. They're about giving players a customization. And like, because they don't need the lands to sell the sets anymore quite as much.
Right,
And
but
for the
back in
players
the
who care-
day, yeah, back in the day, those were intended to be a part of the like. They brought back Zendikar, like full art lands in the original Zendikar to sell packs.
Right.
Along with sticking fetch lands in them, by the way. Yeah, they were at a looking back. That was a time where Magic was but
On the ropes.
Yeah, they had peeled back. They took away a Pro Tour event, probably just to reduce costs. And they did the Hidden Treasures promotion as well.
I actually remember being in the LGS for the Zendikar pre-release, and someone was like, I opened a Candelabra of Tanos. Is that supposed to be there? Like, is that a mistake? I remember that being like one of the cooler experiences in my Magic history, was just like seeing someone open that.
Did you see what happened in Barcelona?
Yeah, someone got a Tundra, right?
Somebody got a Tundra from a Zendikar sealed event.
Yeah.
Wizards used
first
print run Zendikar packs for the
because that's what they had in the warehouse.
Yep.
And somebody got a Tundra.
And he filmed himself opening it because he was opening a Zendikar pack, I'm guessing. And
holy shit, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was very funny to just see him put it in the land pile of his sealed.
Oh yeah, that was definitely legal. Legal to play it.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Blue and white are pretty good in that set.
You just play step links off that in turn 1 and your opponent walks out the room.
I do feel bad as somebody who has the 5-row, 95% filled with full art lands.
That's a prison of your own design, bud.
I know.
That's
See what you do, the way you get rid of those, you take them, you open an LGS, and you put a 50-cent sticker on it, and over the next 5 years, you'll sell a quarter of them.
I was close to that. I had all of it, and now I don't have the LGS part, but I do have an LGS to sell them at. So that probably will be the plan. But yeah, I was several thousand deep on original Zendikar ones, and then BFZ ones, and Amonkhet ones, and then I started to realize where things were going, and I stopped pulling them aside and have the box. I mean, it's not like I've never sold cards out of it to people who want a bunch of the same art for their cube, but it's kind of at that point where like that's what you have to find somebody who's into that, because you can't just buy list them. I remember GP Vegas 2, maybe 1. There was a vendor buying full art Zendikar lands for $1, and I did not have my 5-row with me. But all I do is think about how at that time I probably had 2,500 of them.
Corbin, at that point you just overnight it to the hotel.
Yeah.
You just tell your wife, like, hey, please pay $50 to overnight this box to my hotel.
I don't know if I had the kind of foresight. If I recall, we were I don't recall much about that trip because we had a great time. That's what I remember about GP Vegas 2. I made the mistake of playing Magic at GP Vegas 1. Did not repeat that mistake in GP Vegas 2. Had a good time.
I remember before Amonkhet, maybe it was before BFZ actually. I remember building an ogre box that had the Bucket Island in like the $4 pile, and the first vendor I went to took them.
Oh wow!
And I mean that was just such a different time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to say if I do kind of think that from a game design level, it's better this way, and it also has to be said that all the other games have leaned into this. All the other card games, so Magic having really boring lands that are just not appealing and offer no customization, and if you want anything that looks cool, it's going to cost you a bunch of money. They really, like, just from a product competition standpoint, needed to go this direction, and it's good. It's definitely better for the players to have all the options, because if you want to be the person who just has the really expensive ones, you can still get your foil and hinge lands.
Those are not expensive anymore, I'm sorry to say.
Don't tell me.
Not what they used to be.
Don't tell me. I have dozens of them. How many are they? How much are they worth? Tell me like $20 each at least.
I sold a mountain in I think a pretty poor condition for like $7 this week or something.
Oh no, 20 might be about right.
I think the islands are still like 30s or 40s if they're really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can pull them out of the nice binder and just start putting them into commander decks, huh?
That's the
as it was meant to be, I must say.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
Speaking of cheap cards that you sometimes find in boxes and throw into other boxes and then someday sell, maybe. I think it's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break. Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
This Breaking Bulk is maybe a little on brand, but I'm going to throw out a colorless card from Modern Horizons 1.
Arkham's Astrolabe.
No.
He said it's on brand.
On theme, you know?
Is it a? There's no colorless Merfolk in Modern Horizons.
There are
1.
not. No. Yeah, wrong. On theme is maybe more important than on brand. That is more accurate.
What rare did you say it was? Uncommon?
I would say it's common-ish.
It's a token.
It's
The
not a
card
token.
it's the Urza Saga token.
No, it is not.
That's
And
from,
Urza Saga is not in
Horizons
Modern
2.
Horizons. Yeah.
Is it a changeling token?
No, it is not a token.
Common-ish, though.
What does that mean?
MH1
mean,
didn't have
just-
basics, right? MH1 didn't have basics.
It did. It had the frickin' the land that became a 2/3 snow creature.
Faceless Haven? That's not
No.
MH1, isn't it?
No, it's like something fortification maybe. There's another land in that set that's colorless.
There's a handful of lands in the set, one might say.
Oh, it had snow-covered basics.
What, DJ?
MH1 had snow-covered basics, right? Yeah. So it's a snow-covered
is your-
basic.
Is
Do I
your
have to
Breaking
pick the
Bulk
one-
snow-covered basics?
Do I have to go for the 1 in 5 island?
You're right. It is a snow-covered basic. The point is, while we're talking about full art lands not being picks, the exception is snowlands. Because they're
I
all
think the
worth
Kaldheim
money.
ones aren't picks.
Correct. I also want the record to say that Corbin gets no points for this week.
Nope. Yeah, the Kaldheim ones, not full art, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the full art Modern Horizons ones are.
Common-ish.
Common-ish.
Well, how would
Go
you
to
describe
hell.
the land slot without giving it away?
You just make a better pick.
I think it was an
Skill
incredible
diff.
pick. Amazing pick.
Alright, I have a rare from Ravnica Allegiance that is colorless.
Is it a
It's a
land?
very small card pool, but it's also Ravnica Allegiance, so...
Is it a
I
land?
don't know any cards in this set. Is it
Is it a,
the?
is it
It's
a
an
land?
equipment, right?
No, it's not an equipment, it's not land.
Okay. Colorless, rare.
I'll give you Artifact. I'm not
Sure.
pulling a shit.
I played that of Ravnica Allegiance, but it has been 5 years, so I'm trying to think about this draft format.
I played a lot of this format on Arena, and I love me a Clear the Mind.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think I've seen a single card from this set that wasn't standard playable.
you
This
could go.
This is a good one.
You could go Rakdos in that, right? That was
There
the
was like
Rakdos-
It is not a guild
Yeah.
pick. This pick has no guild affiliation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
was a
think my way
Mana
through the
Rock.
draft of what I might have seen.
Cass?
There's like a mana rock that's 3 mana and taps for a colorless or something, and then does something. I don't.
You are close. Oh, you are.
It
you're
becomes a
close.
creature, maybe.
Cursed,
not, but you're
oh,
close.
colorless, so.
It is a 5 mana rock that taps for any color, and it's whenever you cast a multicolor spell, you draw a card, and the name of the card is Tome of the Guild Pact,
Oh,
and it's like $1.50.
Ooh,
remember that card?
that's
Good
a
pick.
good breaky bulk.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It's just whenever you cast a multicolor spell, you draw a card. You put it in your 5-color Div Mizzet or your Sliver DEH deck or what have you. And
Good to know that something's worth money out of that
it's
set.
like Vanquisher's. It's kind of like Vanquisher's Banner. It's just you just put it
Yeah.
in there and you hope you untap with it.
I really enjoyed drafting those sets on Arena. That was back when Arena was new and it was whatever. But even so, I think those sets were fun. Just today, in preparation for Wilds of Eldraine coming back, Throne of Eldraine is available to draft on Arena. And I'm just wondering if they fixed the mill deck like algorithm this time around.
Well, you know, speaking of Throne of Eldraine, my breaking bulk is a green rare from Throne of Eldraine.
Old
green
Growth
rare.
Troll?
Old Growth Troll.
Nope.
The Elf. No, it's Omnaria.
Nope.
Green rare.
This card does have reprints.
Love Struck Beast.
Nope. Y'all are gonna feel real silly when you don't get it.
Well, we'll just get it then. The green rare from Throne of Eldraine. That was the set with Escape to the Wilds. That was our preview card.
Is there like a rare thing that's just like the linchpin for adventure? Is it like something rare that just says the word adventure on it a lot?
Unfortunately, all of the adventure cards from that set are uncommons or commons. Like Lucky Clover and Innkeeper were common and uncommon.
Okay.
This is part of a relevant mechanic for the set, though.
Okay. Well, what mechanics were in the set? Food.
Adamant. It's not adamant, but I'm listing.
That is one of the
mechanics.
mechanics.
It's got to be food, right? A food green rare.
Let me just make sure I told you all the right set. I'm like 99% sure I did, but... Yeah, I didn't lie to y'all.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
Corbin, you've lost this time.
F6.
Feels fair.
It's Gilded Goose, which I know a lot of people are gonna be like, that's not bulk, but that card is in bulk rares a lot. It has had 3 reprints since then.
Sure. Yeah.
And cards still buy lists for 50 cents for the cheapest version of it.
I will take the L.
Especially because I get a lot of them in bulk from people who bought like Lord of the Rings Commander stuff, like precons specifically, because it was in one of the precons. And that's like the most expensive version of the card that's not, foil.
Gilded Goose passes the Renin 6 / Bowmaster's test in Modern, making it one of like a lot more playable in Modern than people might think, because your 2 toughness mana dork options are pretty limited.
People
but
also
that's the only
underestimate-
thing that's playable.
People also underestimate just how good a 1-mana thing that makes 2 relevant game objects is.
Yeah. Just like my mana dork deck plays against. I just had Gilded Goose against Burn as my turn 1 mana dork, and just like gained 6 life off of it, and that was why I won. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Gilded Goose
it's
undoes 1
pretty
Searing
fun.
Blaze.
Yeah, that's right. Even after they kill the goose with the Searing Blaze.
It is very weird to think of this card as close to a bulk rare, but yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah.
I can talk about Modern for a while.
I came armed with data. So.
I've been playing some Modern.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, me too.
I have 50 of a 60 card deck right here.
Nice. My foil Chalice of the Voids came today, and they were non-foil Chalice of the Voids.
Not great.
It was the
I
world
love Lord
telling
of
me
the
I.
Rings.
It was the world telling me I need to skip foils and go straight to masterpieces.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like
I already have 1 masterpiece of it. I have to buy 3 more.
the fact that you bought non-masterpiece ones is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Honestly, get your money up.
I thought about it as I was doing it, because I was buying like my full art force and negations too, and the rest of my to update my
And you
living
didn't
end
ask
deck.
me if I had any of this.
I've been thinking that I need to get my money up, and I should buy 4 of the Secret Lair Ragavans. Because like I bought 4 Ragavans and I got mailed normal ones, and I was like, it's just a sign from the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 69's out there, right?
Well, that's the serialized ones. I'm talking about the goofy art Pro Tour ones.
Well, you got to get your money up again then.
I think those ones are more expensive than the serialized ones.
Maybe they're
Like number 1 Ragavan went for 10K, which like I get is like the most expensive version, but like you can't get a matching set of serialized. What's more bling? Serialized ones where there's one of 500, or the Pro Tour ones where there's one of 128.
Yeah, I agree. It's the Pro Tour ones for sure.
No.
Yeah.
If you get 4 good numbers of the serialized ones, I think it's that.
Like
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, or
Yeah.
I mean, I
67 through 70.
as many know, I posted for sale Ragavan 420 at one point. So
Yeah. Like you get 169, 420, and then 500.
to me, that is way less bling than like 4 of the Secret Lair Showdown ones. The actual joke is if you earned 4 of the Secret Lair.
card only.
Yeah, if you order, yeah.
If you had earned 4 of them, I feel like that's like the actual sickest flex.
Well, yeah. Serialized cards I do think are good for commanders specifically, but the fact that when they are modern playable, it creates a lot more, or whatever playable, it creates.
I mean, it doesn't actually matter then, right? Like, if a Twitter user XJ Cloud wants 4 serialized Thalias for their their Death and Taxes deck.
Yeah.
They can pay $2,000 to get them, and it doesn't affect anybody else who wants Thalia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To me, serialized cards are like the least harmful version of targeting whales.
Yeah.
I'm worried about them overdoing them, as we're always been worried about them overdoing things like Masterpieces when they. So remember, like that conversation exactly. Like when Masterpieces came out, we were like, "This is incredible! It creates chase versions of the cards for that push down the prices of the rest of the set for everyone else." Right? That's great. And then what did Wizards do? They saw that it was successful. They cranked it up to 11, and within a year, they'd blown their load and moved on to the next thing. And
I mean, that's like
I worry that serialized cards are going the same way because they are cool, but there's only so many like thousands you can put out into the world over the course of a year before people stop caring about the 14,000th serialized card to hit the market.
I feel like we can demonstrably, we can like pretty factually state that they didn't see Masterpieces do well, then did more of them. I feel like Amonkhet was done with development before the expeditions hit the market.
Yeah.
So like, I'm talking about so they put out an article saying that they were successful and that we can expect more of them moving forward. And then they revealed I get maybe it was with Amonkhet, right? That there was way more of them than like they had upped the number that were being made, and we talked at the time about them doing just too many.
I think it was.
That's my recollection of it. Obviously, I could be wrong, but my recollection of it is that they like we talked about it on the show, and then they put out an article specifically stating it, and then we talked about them running it into the ground. So now maybe, like I said, obviously none of us have access to their internal data. Maybe it was really popular, but they didn't like some other effects, where they realized that they had a better way to accomplish the same thing, and we got into the existence of collector boosters down the road, etc. But yeah, I mean that's sort of like the way of been targeting the whales and pushing down the price for everyone else is at least something they've been at for a long time. I think ever since at least Masterpieces.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I have some weird recollection of there being Ravnica Allegiance collector boosters, like as like a product that kind of exists. Is that there was like some weird Ravnica Allegiance booster pack that existed?
I believe
right?
they were color boosters. It was like you could buy an entire red booster.
I know about like the guild kits boosters? Or whatever.
I
feel like there were collector boosters of Ravnica Allegiance for some reason.
There was a Mythic edition.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a Mythic edition of it that you probably bought straight off of Wizards' website?
No, so there were collector boosters for Ravnica Allegiance that are not Mythic edition.
Okay.
They weren't released normally. I think they were like never officially released. All the ones that were out there were like test releases.
Uh-huh.
But I've seen like these packs before. They have like Dovin Bond on the front. They're in like a paper covering like you would see in like Target or Walmart.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that they had that for Ravnica Allegiance, nothing for War of the Spark, they just had like a bonus sheet. And then the next set was Eldraine, right? Like the next like full normal release. Mm-hmm. Where they had like proper collector boosters. Like there's like a real clear progression there of like they're really like they tested a thing and then they probably like already had to have the collector boosters for Eldraine ready basically and prepped before this tester even hit the market, right? So the question becomes like, is WotC able to test things in the market without fully committing to them because the way their release schedule works? And is that exacerbated even further by there being so many releases? And I think the answer is like, they're worse at pivoting now than they ever have been.
I went and looked up this Ravnica. We're all going to learn something together on the show today, everyone listening and me, and possibly you. Have you looked up the price of this Ravnica Allegiance collector booster pack? On TCG Player right now, there's somebody with 3 of them listed for $40, and the next listing is at $400.
I'm not going to take much stock in those listings.
Yeah. There's a Japanese box of it available on eBay for $330, which is 12 packs. So, like, I think it's one of those things where, like, no one really knows how to set a price on them.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't know it existed.
But to get back to kind of the point I was making was, like, I think this is sort of indicative, and the Masterpiece conversation is, like, WotC is worse at pivoting than they have been in the past, and they were not great then. So I think if there's something that we don't like let's say serialized cards are something that the community by and large doesn't like, and their data represents that, it could be like a year or two before we stop seeing them.
Yeah, then you're hitting the emergency brake on the train and like just have to watch yourself crash into the wall still.
Right? Like
it's too late.
Like with when they changed standard rotation, because people for whatever reasons, when they had changed standard rotation to twice a year and then had to undo it, and then we're stuck with 6 months or 9 months or whatever it was of cards that were not meant to be played together in standard, and it was not a good time.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer to put that GD back in the bottle.
Yeah.
So I guess
all right. Well, let's. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
I had a nice little pin to put in it. We'll just throw it
No,
out
I'm
there.
sorry. Say it.
So I guess, with all of that said, we'll kind of have to go for the ride and see what WotC chooses to do, and maybe we'll get serialized cards in Eldraine, and maybe they'll be good, and maybe we won't, and maybe we'll get them in Ixalan, but for all we know, we're at their mercy, and all we can really do is hope for the best.
Yeah, where do you all fall on this is a bit of a tangent to that, but where do you all fall on sort of the existence of the Zatalpa spot in the Commander Masters boosters? Meaning the card that maybe once was cool, but now they've printed actual 7 or 8 times at the same price, at the same spot where, a $50 chase card is. I mean, there's seen a lot of complaints. It's just, it almost feels like disrespectful, some of the reprints. I think we there's the draft considerations, but should those considerations lead to, something like the 9th printing of Zatalpa?
I don't know if this is a popular opinion, but I kind of wish they would stop making master sets draft sets.
Yeah. I'm
sure they have to for a number of reasons, but it does suck if you're someone who wants to purchase collector boosters to open as a Zatalpa, but at the same time, it's pretty cool to be able to open a Talrand in your draft. And the division between set and draft boosters, or collector and draft boosters should fix that. But my opinion's always sort of been that collector boosters should be more expensive and have nothing to do with the limited portions of the set.
Right, yeah, we've had that conversation about just removing the common and uncommon slot entirely, and I think going back to the experimentation conversation, they've experimented with that before with the Aftermath boosters. They came out with a booster that just said, hey, you get 6 cards, they're not garbage. I mean, Aftermath was a garbage set, so the cards are kind of garbage. But,
they're going to take that, the wrong way.
The intent was there to create a product that was not draftable, that was, here are just the cards in the set that are collectible.
Right. I want something that's closer to an FTV, but not quite an FTV, right? I want to know that if I spend if I'm going to spend $200 on a collector box of Commander Masters, I think I should get less chaff. Right, that's just how that product should be.
Yeah, because it should just be a matter of meeting expectations of their audience, right? And generally, the people who are spending that much money on a product.
And then you end up with the Reddit top voted post of Wizards makes booster box of 4 packs that is $400. $100 booster pack, emoji question mark.
Yeah, you're right, but
my other hot take is to take the foils out of draft boosters. No foil slot.
If
the draft booster's for drafting, what does a foil have to do with it?
It is a little weird.
I like the variance of getting 2 of one thing in a pack. So
Sure,
foil outside, I like that you can get 2 Ragavans in a pack, and then you pass one, and the person's like, oh.
I don't disagree that's cool. What if there's just a wild card slot?
Listen, what you're saying is, to your point, everyone thinks March of the Machine was one of the best draft formats ever because it had the bonus sheet that made everything different. And now we've in Ixalan, or I'm not Ixalan, Strixhaven played in some of that same space. Now we have another set with a bonus sheet. I think that you're right. The role that the variance role that the foil slot added to draft from the year 19 whatever when they introduced foils to 2022 maybe doesn't serve a purpose anymore when you're just going to put entire bonus sheets into draft boosters to add variance to the experience that way. Something to think about.
The question is, where are they trying? What utility are you getting out of a draft booster, and what utility are you getting out of a collector booster?
Yeah.
And how does WotC make that more clearly defined? Because I think customers are confused on the whole. Why would I buy this product over this product? Well, I just buy the product that I happen to grab, and customer expectations not being met, customer demands not being met, in addition to just like kind of weird inconsistency in expectations, just leads to bad experiences is where I'm at.
Yeah, I think you're right. It feels like they have the vertical in place, right? Where draft boosters should be the least expensive. You're there to play with them. And then set boosters should arguably be the same price, but certainly not significantly more for someone who just wants to buy to open cards, right? And then the collector boosters are the premium version of a set booster. But divorcing the draft booster experience from the opening experience would be... That's the way things are going. So, yeah, it's interesting. Speaking of draft, though, and the Pro Tour, let's move to Modern a little bit, where we are seeing all kinds of developments. So, Preordain was made legal. The One Ring and Orcish Bowmasters have stayed legal. And, frankly, the One Ring is not the powerhouse that people thought it was. You know, I was in a meeting today where we discussed whether or not everyone has just agreed to stop playing Tron, because, you know, no one wants to do that, or whether it's actually worse right now. But no matter how you look at it, there's not a ton of the One Ring and Tron just dominating like it did at the Pro Tour. What there is a bunch of is black-based, you know, interaction, whether that's discard, whether that's, you know, the Evoke scam deck, whether that's more straightforward, just mid-range. There's also blue-black mid-range now. A lot of fair decks, if, you know, air quotes around that, but in Modern, fair decks using Preordain popping up. So a lot going on. So I want to run through a couple of these cards that have popped up here. So Bowmasters is seeming to be the actual winner, although it's being played alongside the One Ring right now. But Bowmasters is almost everywhere. But blue-black Murktide seems to be the thing there. That's a 4x polluted Delta deck I think is worth looking at. There's also... Sorry, excuse me. Preordain, of course, is now a $3 or $4 common. And I think that's going to stick around. We're also seeing Shieldred the Apocalypse in these decks. And another blue-black favorite that I'll get to in my pick of the week here. But spoilers, it involves flashing your cards back. So Modern is in a really interesting place right now where a lot can be played. Preordain seems to be giving a boost to a lot of decks, not all of them fair, but it doesn't seem to have unleashed Storm-type blue-red combo, just cantripping 3 times and winning on turn 3. That doesn't seem to be popping up. So Preordain seems to be a healthy addition to the format. The other card and deck I want to call attention to, and this has just destroyed me a couple times on Modern Online, Magic Online, and I've seen other people talking about this as well. The Rock Shell. You know, think about Modern being more fair, or at least being more grindy, depending on what you look at as the scam starts being fair or not. But black-green rock with Elvish Reclaimer as the 1-drop, because it can go get your Urza Sagas. It can do tricks with your Urza Sagas. It becomes a beater very fast. Orcish Bowmasters, of course. This is the innovation here. Call of the Death Dweller. It's a 3-mana sorcery from Ikoria that returns up to 3 CMC of creatures from your graveyard to play. And the important thing is you get to give one of them Death Touch. So you bring back your Bowmasters with it. Your Bowmasters has Death Touch. It gets to kill anything in play. And maybe get back a Ragavan if you're in a deck that's got red, or maybe you just get back a Reclaimer, or something like that. But yeah, this deck is really making the rounds on Magic Online. I wanted to call out Reclaimer being a cheap piece that I think's got room to grow there. But yeah, Modern's got a lot going on. That's what I've seen of it. Cass, what is you've been up to some Modern action? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I've been trying out some of the blue-red Murktide lists with Preordain. Preordain it's really hard to flood out in that deck now, and it's really hard to get mana screwed. You just are so consistent. Whenever you play a Preordain with a Dragon's Rage Channeler in play, you just dig like so many cards deep. You can see 4 cards deep if you want, which is really strong for finding specific answers. The other thing I've noticed is that you talk about green-black, like the rock style decks, but actual Jund proper, like Renin 6, Urza's Saga Jund, has been seeing a fair bit of play recently. I think a lot of that is because the card Urza's Saga itself, in a deck that is not doing something super linear, is one of the best tools against Scam, or Evoke, Rakdos Evoke.
Yeah.
Because they can't grief it, and Fury's not that great against it, because you can in turn make a token, untap, make another token, and play 2 artifacts or something, and they're big enough to not die to Fury. And they still kind of can, but people are playing these threats like Tarmogoyf, which doesn't die to Fury, and more resilient threats are being played in the face of Evoke, which is kind of a flimsy interaction deck that sort of hopes to thread a needle and sneak in for a win.
Exactly.
And I think part of the reason we're going to see Tron less is because Tron is just worse in open metagames. It loses to the weird stuff.
Yeah, and it definitely loses to Black-Red Evoke, which is sort of the default police of the format.
I think right now the joke to the format is if you're playing something linear, it has to be incredibly powerful or incredibly robust, and if you're going to play something non-linear, it has to be able to pass sort of the Rakdos Evoke sniff test.
So wait, are you both telling me that somebody can blow a dust cloud off of their deck that they're taking out of the closet from 2015? It's got Tarmogoyfs, it's got Dark Confidants, it's got Raging Ravines, and oh, okay.
Dark Confidant is the most embarrassing it's ever been, maybe, in the face of Bowmasters, but Tarmogoyf, that boy's back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is what I've been telling people about Modern is that the cards are different, but the decks are the same, and that's your black-green deck looks like all the black-green decks, even if it's got some different cards now. But yeah, Bowmasters feels like it's settled into a really nice place in the format. Someone asked me the other day, what happened to Ledger Shredder? And I was like, yeah, well, Bowmasters happened to Ledger Shredder because that sweet value you got off of looting, well, okay, now you're facing down infinite.
Somebody pointed that out to me earlier this month when I was buying a collection, and I put a what's it called, Fairy Mastermind on the buy mat. Yeah, I just made an offhand comment of, it's weird how that card went down in value. It had like this little shining spotlight where it was one of the premier cards in March of the Machine, and they're like, yeah, Bowmaster exists now, and I just, my eyes just went wide.
And Renin 6 is the other thing, but yeah, the instant speed of it is, it's the same reason Silvergill is like coming out of Merfolk list, which just crushes me, but it's so bad against Bowmasters.
I have a Lorwyn blue uncommon for my next Breaking Bulk. You want to know what it is?
Marrow Commerce.
Not Overkill that up. That card's worthless.
I know.
Yeah.
I saw it. I saw my Roka put a Lorwyn one in the not bulk pile, and I was like,
ooh, it's like 30 cents.
Oh, it's like 17 cents, Corbin. It's no good.
Oh no. Yeah, it's painful. I'm not gonna lie, but Merfolk itself is doing just fine. It's just got different cards in it now. I have I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not. I've got the Merfolk drawer where I just have all of my Merfolk playable cards thrown in there over the years. It's got like Marrow Reedries, Master of Waves, lots of unplayable stuff.
How soggy are those cards? Do they swim in a little lake?
Oh yeah. Well, no, they. The point is everything comes back though. Talking about Tarmogoyf, like as Modern has become less. It's become more powerful, but more interactive. But the interaction taxes people's hands. So if you're trying to play the combo decks, you're going to run into the elementals and the free spells, and you're going to struggle. But at the same time, the decks playing those cards have just 2-for-1'd themselves. So if you're instead just playing the deck where all of your cards are kind of the same, it becomes a lot less good. And you just play your Tarmogoyf and it goes the distance. That's been my experience against Black Red a bunch, is that they do their powerful thing, and then I just play a couple cards, and we just are kind of struggle bussing along together at that point, right? And it feels very legacy-ish, where Pioneer these days feels a lot more like Modern used to feel, where you can play a lot of different things, but the gameplay is sometimes kind of lacking for interaction. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it.
In Bowmaster's sort of the world of Orcish Bowmaster, fair creatures that have 1 toughness that we used to see a lot of play, things like, Young Pyromancer, Dark Confidant aren't any good, but a creature that's been seeing some play this week that I kind of want to take some time to work on at some point soon is Dreadhorde Arcanist. Aspiring Spike has been playing with it with Preordain, It doesn't die to Bowmasters, being a 1/3. They can kind of kill it with Bowmasters if they really fully commit, but by that point you've already attacked and gotten your value. But like having an actual good cantrip to flash back with Dreadhorde Arcanist is very compelling to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Card's banned in Legacy for a reason, right?
Yep.
Well, and moving on to pick of the week here.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
I'm going to make my pick of the week Snapcaster Mage. And I understand it's the next one, which is everything we're talking about, but it's got flash. And the point is, it's played alongside Bowmasters in your blue-black decks. And we're just talking about how you just grind. Well, you get to just grind your Snapcasters back because that's a thing you can do again because Modern is kind of there. Now, I don't think it's going to be, anything like it once was. Literally, the existence of Bowmasters is going to limit the ceiling of Snapcaster. But I am seeing Snapcaster Mage pop up in blue-black lists.
What if we play Call of the Death Dweller targeting Snapcaster and Bowmaster, and then we kill their thing?
You can't get both.
What?
You can't get both.
Well, okay, so we play it targeting Snapcaster Mage, bring back Snapcaster, Snapcaster flashes back the Call of the Death Dweller, and then that one brings back the Bowmaster.
And
that's big
your Ragavan in your Grixis deck.
For me, like the actual upside of Snapcaster now is you can flashback things like Sauron's Ransom. You have actual good card draw spells to flashback.
Yeah. And Sauron's Ransom is in particular good because anything that makes piles dodges Bowmaster.
I do want to fight back a little bit against Snapcaster as a value pick.
Sure.
Over the past several years of that card being unplayable, vendor supply has accumulated so much on that card. We have all
probably
just,
true.
We have all just like unhinged our jaws like snakes and just engorged ourselves on all these people selling unplayable piles. And it's just not even on the law of it being a good card, just because we have to buy every card that comes across the table. Mm-hmm. And it's just, we buy another set of Snapcasters and they don't sell. We buy another Snapcaster, we don't sell. And like there are so many vendors that just have like 100 Snapcasters just waiting in the wings. And even if that card starts to sell, it's the demand graph on that is going to take so long to normalize, just because there's so many vendors who can just be like, yep, relist the other set, relist them again, same price, just get them out of here, relist.
That's a fair point, and I haven't looked at to see like where the price wall's at on TCG Player or anything for it, but I do know that like we're seeing a lot of hard, at least for now, interest in Modern seems to be high, and we're seeing a lot of reactivity and price to things. So that's definitely a part of it. So, but yeah, good points all around. Murktide Regent, my pick of the week last week, is starting to climb, and it's going a little slowly, but I think that card is going to keep going. And we're going to see a lot of experimentation around what blue preordained type decks look like.
Absolutely. My pick of the week this week is a bit avant-garde. And if you're unhappy about my pick this week and you feel that it's not pertinent to you, well, get your money up.
Get your money up.
My pick this week is the foil Japanese Yoshitaka Amano Liliana Dreadhorde General from War of the Spark, like the $3,000 one or whatever. And the actual joke with this is that we're getting a Final Fantasy set, and if you think we're not getting more Amano art for it, you're crazy. And if somebody wants to collect all of the Amano Magic the Gathering cards, they got to get this one. And supply on this card is not deep.
I do want to provide a bit, like, there is a non-foil of this, and it's like 100, I think.
I don't think it's the same principles, though.
But, like, that still allows somebody to get one of every Amano card, getting the non-foil.
Sure. I think that is a factor. But also, like, supply on this is so thin, it does not take a lot for it to jump up in price. And this isn't so much I go buy a bunch of them to, like, sit on. This is if you ever want one, you probably should get it sooner than later.
Yes.
I think a lot of cards in Magic kind of are starting to get to that point, especially things that had limited supply, where, they're not going to print Liliana in the Final Fantasy set, but they are going to print other Amano cards. And being aware that if your Holy Grail is something you've been putting off getting, you should get your Holy Grail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
All right, TJ, finish off pick of the week.
Mine is actually a modern card for once in my life.
Yeah, everyone's in a modern. Let's go.
I'm not in on modern. I'm in on making money. But my pick of the week is a card that just I hold very dear to my heart as a card, the kind of card I like to play. Traverse the Uvenwald. You want to know how many printings this card has? 1. You want to know how many years ago Shadows over Innistrad was? 6.
7.
Or 7, I don't
6? It was more
Something
than
like
that. Yeah.
I was coming out when Ben was around Ben.
Yeah.
That's 7.
So,
Find out.
Traverse
Shadows over Innistrad release. April 8, 2016.
I actually was brewing with this card recently for Modern because one of the problems with it was there were just like no good sorceries to play in the format except for Traverse the Elvenwald. And now you can just like play Preordain with it. Preordain on 1, you know, Sackland, Mishra's Bauble.
Soul Tie is a thing for sure.
Yeah. Or maybe even
All
Teamer.
the Death Dweller.
So
Maybe
one of the
even
reasons
Teamer.
I also picked this card is Mark Rosewater's little design teaser that we'll probably go over next week for Wilds of Eldraine mentioned that there is a new combination of card types that we have not seen before, and it's a reminder that there's still a lot of design space and experimentation for just like, I don't know, maybe they'll make an artifact enchantment, or maybe they'll make like an enchantment land or whatever.
Battles.
Like, I don't know,
Like-
maybe they'll make an artifact bat. Like, there's so many weird things that they still
Anything
have
with a
room
battle
to
is going to
do.
be new. So yeah.
It's like how there's 30 years of Pokemon and there's not like a plant fire type until this year.
Oh,
Like there's no grass
know
fire
that.
type plant. So like there's just still
There's only,
so many
like,
combinations.
Right. There's like 10 combinations or something that have never been used outside of like one, you know, mega evolution or whatever.
Yeah, and Traverse the Uvenwald's Delirium also still has the potential to be easier to hit over time because of these new situations
yes.
where there's just easier ways to load your
Yep.
graveyard and hit that magic 4. And again, the card has 1 printing in 7 years and it's $2.
I've seen it in these rock deck. Traverse the Ulvenwald, Snapcaster Mage, everything old is new again, and that's why Modern is the best format. And the best place to learn about all these price movements is MTG Stocks, our sponsor, the #1 place on the internet for all of your Magic finance needs, along, of course, with anything we make. But that's why we're happy to partner with them, because they offer the best tools. The premium side of the website gives you everything you could possibly want to catch up and stay up to date, up to the minute on all of the latest movements in Magic finance. And that's why we are proud to partner with them. So thank you. Shout out to MTG Stock. Shout out, of course, to our other sponsor, Coalesce Apparel and Design. You can use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery there to get 10% off of gear from any of your favorite content creators, whether that's us or not.
Yeah, I actually used MTG Stocks to find Traverse the Uvenwald this week. I was scurrying around the internet frantically for my pick of the week because I just audibled at the last second. And I checked the negative interest, which is the cards that are going down in price. And Traverse the Uvenwald spiked a few months ago up to $6, and then it just immediately crashed back down. So it was like a flash in the pan thing. It was just one deck that did reasonably well at something. And again, it's $2 on TCG Player. You can get your playsets for $10. And noticing that drastic downward spiral from its previous flash in the pan spike is why I thought, oh wait, this is $2. This card should not be that cheap, even if it's like just only good in one deck. It's $2. Right. Is the reprint risk high? Sure, but if you buy a $10 playset of something and it gets reprinted and you were going to play with it, okay,
so be it. Yeah, get your money up. Is that what you're saying?
This is a movement to get your money up, right? You make money moves to get your money up, and then your money's up, and then you buy an Amana Liliana, and then your money gets up even more, and then you buy a yacht that gets eaten by orcas.
Next thing you know, you're Posty with the One Ring.
That's true. The secret to becoming Post Malone is to purchase for Traverse the Elvenwald using data that you learn from gstocks.com.
Oh, that's that. That's no better way to say it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you to Cass and DJ. As always, thank you to our sponsors. You can support us at patreon.com/BSB. You can support us by clicking like, subscribe if you're on YouTube watching. We appreciate all of you who make impossible because without your support, we cannot do the show.
I checked the algorithm, not the page, not the YouTube thing that says I actually plugged myself into the Matrix and checked the algorithm itself. I saw God for a couple seconds.
Cyberpunk style.
The point is, 100% of you are not subscribed. That's unsettling. Like I don't even know that's possible. But like,
no subscribers.
Wait, I refreshed it. 101. How are 101 of you not subscribed? Anyway, fading out.
No subscribers.
Figure it out, he says. Thank you for listening, everybody. This is Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next week.